All right, everybody, welcome back to episode 6 of the Modern Running Podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, then you can clearly see that our guest this week is none other than the Mike Dworzak. I think it was Kyle Monroe guessed it right on Instagram. He
Of
guessed the
course he
exact
did.
meet too, because you guys were best friends in college. But so it is Mike Dworzak. He was a great kind of mentor of my freshman year. He was a senior when I was there. All around great guy. He ran the 800 and he hated running the mile. I do remember that. So he ran the 800, but he was a great athlete, great mentor. And so we brought him on here today as kind of our first episode to talk a little bit about his story and see if we like it. So the floor is yours, my friend.
Alright.
Have a
Yeah, I also ran the
blast.
400, but you guys
Oh,
didn't
that's right. That's
you guys
right.
didn't get to
Ooh,
see that.
No, I don't think so.
No, I had range, but
Did you? The
um,
4 to the 8 is range. The 4
no,
to
the
the 8
4 to the
is.
mile, and then dipping into cross country. Um, but yeah, so I guess we can just talk about like starting off. I'll start off early, middle school.
Okay.
Did you guys have a middle school like
yeah, I did.
running at all? Because I
Yeah.
know a lot
No,
of no. Okay, you did.
nothing.
How
Not
like
for
in
me.
depth was it? Because mine was like, all right, we got cross country and we got spring track. We didn't have
That's how
winter
mine
track,
was.
but it was
Yeah.
like
We didn't
just
have winter. It was just the cross and the track.
okay. Yeah, so it really wasn't that extensive. I was, believe it or not, like a 100, 200 guy in
Ooh.
Were
middle
you
school
really?
because I was that bad at everything that
Yeah,
they were
this
just like,
this sounds
just stick them in the
familiar to me.
100 and the 200. Um,
Wow.
but yeah, so I did that in middle school, and then when I got to high school, I got put as like a 400 guy.
Hmm.
Um, but when I say I was bad freshman year, I was bad. Like all out 400 was like 64, and that was
Okay.
like
Okay.
trying. Like I was
Okay.
really struggling.
No, you and I are in a
Um,
similar boat.
but yeah, nobody thought to like try me in any other events, so I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna try really hard to get good at this. There was like, I don't want to like put down the coaching staff at my high school. I know like you guys talked about this a lot, how like um, at your high school, obviously they're not full-time coaches. Obviously
Right.
they're doing
Right.
other
Mhm.
jobs. So they can't dedicate as much time to coaching as like Coach O'Brien say could. Um, but at my high school, it seemed like there was maybe like one or two good coaches, and then the rest of them just like, oh, well, I'm gonna think up a workout on the fly right now,
Right. Right.
Yeah.
like as we're walking out to the track.
Right.
So that's kind of the what I was dealing with. So for myself, I said like, all right, well, I'm just gonna like do workouts that I think are best for me, and like, yeah, I'm still gonna follow what the coaches say, but like, if I think I should be doing a harder workout, I'm gonna. So
So
it
you
was
did a little extra on the side.
yeah, but it was also kind of like they knew me to the point where I'm like, I don't want to do that workout. I want to do this. Is that okay? They didn't know any better, and I didn't know
Okay.
any better.
Yeah.
So it
Okay.
was kind of
Okay.
like, all right, I'm just gonna do this today. Um, and I wound up like chipping that time down. Sophomore year, I ran a 57. Junior year, around a 55, I think. These are all guesses, by the way.
Hmm.
I haven't focused on this in a while.
Yeah.
Um, but senior year, I do remember this. One of my coaches was like, "Well, you're making progress in the 4, but we're gonna try in the 8." And I had only run like 1 800 at that point in my entire high school career, and I hated it. But I was like, "All right, screw it. Like, why not?"
I was gonna
So
say, don't most like 400 runners absolutely despise the 800?
I mean, I don't know. Not at my school, not
Really?
really. I mean, not at my high school. The one 400 kid who I was really close friends with was like mainly sprinting, and was like the 4 was his max. So
Right.
you do
Right.
like a 1,
Yeah.
2, and a 4,
Right.
but then like you also have like distance guys like it obviously like Nick and Terrence who would do like 1500, 800,
Right.
400.
Right.
Mhm.
Um, so it just depends on the person, I guess. But Yeah, so I started the indoor season. My debut 800 was like a 220, and it was
Okay.
like
Okay.
no, don't
Okay.
act like that's remotely good. Um, but yeah, so eventually I chipped down that season and ended that season with a 210, and that was my goal. Basically, hit 210 end of indoor season. It was like, all right, well, what's
Is
my
that your
goal
senior
gonna be?
year or junior?
Senior year, and this
Okay.
was all happening, so I could not tell any colleges because I had already applied,
Oh yeah.
and like I can't be like, oh, by the way, I'd like to apply to and go for track or like maybe get a scholarship because like all my times weren't good enough. And then I started hitting really good times my senior year after I applied and got into most places. So I was like, all right, well, I'll make the most of it at LVC. And like honestly, I couldn't have done much better anywhere else, but I really liked LVC anyway and knew that was where I was going to go. But it
Where
would have
else
been
did
nice to
you?
send like my time to other places and see what
Right.
they had to say.
Where else did you apply?
Um, so I was applying for PT initially, not chemistry.
Okay.
So I like applied to LVC. I applied to your sinus or not your sinus, Quinnipiac, University of Sciences, a
Hmm.
couple other places I forget.
Got it.
I
So
got in everywhere.
it's
I just
original.
I got in all the PT places I applied to except for LVCs. That's that's
Oh
that's
wow.
why, and then I still wound up coming there.
That's
But
funny.
yeah, um, so I wanted to set a new goal for myself my outdoor season in my senior year. Um, and I said, all right, well, I took 10 seconds off from indoor. Let's do it again. And that's what I tried to do. And I wound up finishing the outdoor season with 159. Like
Jeez.
For you.
159, like 9.5 though. Like
That still
very,
counts.
very close, but like yeah, it's still there. So I was all super hyped and was texting coach or not texting, but like emailing back and forth between coach O'Brien since I had already like gotten in and decided to go to LVC. Like, hey, like I know I said I was like a 215 guy in the winter, but guess what? And so
You will not
he
believe this.
so he seemed excited and I was excited and I still remember going in and talking to him my freshman year. I was like, yeah, I want my like I took off 10 seconds indoor and outdoor. Let's like I want to shoot for 155 like by the end of my freshman year. And obviously things don't go to plan
Right.
Hmm.
ever. So I'll get to that in a second, but basically coming in, Coach O'Brien was very helpful and really accommodating for me because I know you guys, at least Noah, I'm not 100% sure with you, Jordan, because I haven't talked to you that much, but like is very gung ho with cross country.
Yes.
Hmm.
I don't know if you would say cross country is your preferred sport or whether you prefer track over it or
I prefer cross.
okay. All right. So you both like really like cross. I
Yeah.
was in I was not that at all. I was like, coach, if I don't run a cross country race for the rest of my life, I'm pretty sure I'll be happy. And he's like, all right, yeah, that's fine. So he had me, this guy Kevin, who was a 400 hurdler, this guy Corey, who only wound up attending LVC for like a year while I was there. He was like an ex-military guy. Um, and Terrence, I think Jordan, you know, or
Yeah.
Noah, you know Terrence. Jordan, you
Yep.
know him too.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So uh, that was like the group of four guys, and we weren't actually competing in any races in cross country, but we were still on the roster and we were just training. We were doing like mid distance training um, during the cross country season. And it
Okay.
was going great, going great, going great. And then we opened the winter season. So now we usually go to F&M, right? But
Right.
back when I was a freshman, we went to your sinus. Um, that's why that was on my mind earlier. I didn't
Got it.
apply there.
Got it.
uh, so I was like, all right, well, I've been doing all this training. Like, I should be able to pump out a pretty good time. Wrong.
Right. Right.
I did 208, but then like people were like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Like your first race of anything the season
Right.
like isn't going to be what you expected. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, like I wish it could be even faster, but 2:08's fine. And like I know there'll be a meet after break
Hmm.
that I'm just like I'll kill. It's
Right,
fine.
right. So, did you have indoor in high school?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
because I
Sorry about that.
know you're from Jersey, and most PA schools do not have indoor, but us in Maryland, we had indoor.
Yeah, so I'm from Central Jersey, and I don't know if anybody has ever been to Tom's River in New Jersey, but
Mm-mm.
there
Nope.
is what's called the bubble, where it's like a big inflatable, it looks like a giant marshmallow.
Okay.
It's like I'm trying to think of how to explain it. It's like an inflatable covering, like
Yeah, I was gonna say it's
inflatable
like the
building.
dome up in Syracuse. It was just a building that you pump a bunch of air into.
Yeah, sure. And they had a track in there and a couple basketball courts on the inside of the
Hmm.
track, and on weekends they'd have indoor track meets there, and it'd be like half the state would show up because there was only like two of these in the entire
Oh,
state.
jeez.
So you
Got
could
it.
run indoor track, but the heat list was insane because
Gotcha.
you'd have guys in like heat one going for like an 8, like cracking sub 2,
Hmm.
and then the last heat crawling at like 220 like I was.
Atta
That'd be a
boy.
long meet.
That would
Yeah,
be a
no, they were
long
really
meet.
long, and if they were on a weeknight starting at like
Oh, that's right, because they
4
start
or
Yeah,
way
starting
5,
after
after
school.
school.
Yep.
you ain't
Oh
getting out of
boy.
there until like at
Oof.
least 11, maybe midnight.
Ooh.
Oof.
So,
All right, so continue. So you
sorry.
ran your opener. No, you're good. You're good. I just want to make sure
Yeah,
I
so I
knew
ran
you
my
ran indoor.
opener. Yeah. So I ran my opener, and then within like a few weeks, it was before we left for winter break, started getting like a really bad pain in my foot, like right in the middle of the foot on the bone too. So I was like, oh, this isn't good.
Right.
So I went to the trainer, Megan, who we all know, very
Hmm.
Hmm.
very nice person, very helpful. Um, she looked at it. We didn't do X-rays or anything. What she determined it to be was a stress reaction, where it's like, hey, you're putting a lot of stress on this. It's not a fracture yet, but it's if you keep pushing it, it will be. Um,
Hmm.
I just call it a stress fracture because people.
They know
I
what
don't
that
feel like,
is.
yeah, I don't feel like being like, hey, oh, like, why am I wearing a boot? Oh, I have a stress reaction. What's that?
Yeah.
And then me there hooked for 5 minutes telling them
Right.
about
Right.
my life story.
Classic
Yep.
Dworzak.
So I just said, oh, I got a stress fracture. Yeah, it sucks. And that was that. Um, so I was doing that, and because we were home for winter break, she was like, "Oh, this will be like 2 weeks in the boot. You should be able to get out and start running very slowly again." Once again, things never go to plan. I take the boot off after 2 weeks, start running again, take probably bigger jumps than I thought I should, and wind up back in the boot um, for another like 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks.
That
So
like
there
within the
goes.
same week that you got the boot off and then got it back on.
Yeah, because I took it off like towards the end of winter break, and then
Mhm.
went back, got reevaluated at the trainers, and they were like, "Yeah, put this thing back
Okay.
on." And then so I had it on for like 4 to 6 weeks after that.
Oh,
So there goes my winter season.
right.
Dang.
Um, the thing that I had been training summer and all fall for.
That's
Yep.
right, because
Got
you.
one race and then nothing. Um, so then my goal to myself was like, all right, well, if I lost my winter season, yeah, I'm not training, but I'll just come back in the spring, train super hard. I want to qualify for max, which at the time I think was like a 2:04 for an 800, like qualifying time.
Okay.
I was like, all right, that's doable. Um, in the spring, like I got out of the boot, everything was fine. I was doing the strength and exercises to build up the muscles back in my leg. Um, and we were gonna run a time trial to see who was going to be on the 4x8 team because we had guys. It was Nick Scullin, Terrence, this guy Corey who was hitting around two flat, and then we wanted to see if it would be like me, Kyle, or anybody else that could run an 8. So he did this time trial, and I'm on top of the world leading this thing, and I was like, "Oh, I'm doing great, and I'm gonna like I think I got 2:03 as a
Okay.
time trial time, which was like, I'm like, all right,
Okay,
okay,
that's
this
not
is my
bad.
fitness is still here.
Right.
But within the last 75 meters of the freaking time trial, here comes Kyle Monroe on the outside, sitting and kicking on me, and I'm
That's
like,
Kyle.
God. So he went by me and got on the 4x8 team, and but I still had hope because I
Right.
was like, all right, 2:03, that's not bad. Like I still have fitness, like I said. I'll be like that's faster than MAC qualifying time. I'm good.
Right.
hmm
And to
And
do that in a
then
time trial.
yeah, but then like I don't know what it. I genuinely don't know what it was thinking back on it. But like every single race, I just couldn't get in the right headspace for it, and I wound up hitting like 2:04, like a hundredth of or a tenth of a second over the qualifying time. Like
Oh, so it's like just so close, but not there.
yeah, so close and just not there, and so that was annoying. So I didn't get to run at max indoor or max outdoor that year, and I was just disappointed. But sophomore year really turned around. I in the indoor 4x8 was like the fourth guy. Um, Kyle was not on the indoor 4x8 team. I don't remember who the oh, it was Garrett. Garrett was the fourth guy. Garrett came
Okay.
in as a freshman and was just like ridiculously good.
Mhm.
So we put him on the 4x8 team, and then I beat out Kyle for the 4x8 spot in indoor, and he liked to focus on the mile anyway, so it wasn't a huge loss to him, I didn't think.
Right.
And then come spring, we would do this. He would swap out with me and run the 4x8 on the outdoor team because he would beat me out for it in the outdoors.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then I'd focus on my own stuff. But
So it was a nice
that
little give and
indoors,
take.
yeah, exactly. It was a good, nice give and take. Sophomore year at least.
Okay.
And then that indoor season was actually really cool because we still went to ECACs, and I think that was the last year we went to ECACs. And we wound up winning Max 4x8, which I think it was like a 7-year run of LVC winning 4x8, like
Oh,
at max.
Jeez.
So both indoor and outdoor. So we were like, all right, cool, we got to keep the ball rolling. So we won that year indoor. Kyle and all of them won it outdoor as well. We also went to ECACs for indoor, and we won that too, surprisingly. Nick and Terrence were trying to like score individually in the 800, so we weren't like, we were like, you do all you can do, but we know you're coming off a hard 8, so just like
right.
muster all you can and let me and Garrett do the work.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's what we wound up doing, and somehow we won it. Like I think Nick was anchor, or no, Terrence was anchor, I think, and he was like we got him in position very close behind the first guy, and I'm like, I know you just ran a hard 8, but it's like it's right there, man. You gotta go for it.
You
So
can't give
like luck,
yeah.
yeah, luckily he was like, if you know Terrence is the type of guy where if you're running in a park and a little kid is running next to him, like, oh, you're right, he'll pick his knees up and he'll
He'll
start
dust
dropping
him. I
pace to
like that.
dust him just
I
because
like that.
that he's that type of guy. So he really pulled it out of the bag for us and won the 4x8 for us. And I forget how they placed individually, but that was really cool for me, especially as like early on, not necessarily an underclassman, but like
Right.
well, I guess that still counts as an
It's a
underclassman.
weird like fine
Yeah.
line when you're a sophomore, I feel
Yeah.
like.
But yeah, it was cool to have then 2 gold medals in the cabinet.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was a great sophomore year. Junior year was good. Coach started teasing me up into higher mileage. That was the first year that I legitimately like really focused on cross country. I was doing like probably like 40 miles a week, similar to what you're at right now, Jordan, I think.
Mhm.
Sophomore year, I think I PR'd with like a 28 mid, like or 28 high,
Okay.
for the 8K. And then for track, I was back on the 4x8 team for the indoor, and then I think so I was on the 4x8 for indoor. I think it was me, Kyle, Nick, and Garrett, and we wound up actually losing that year to Messiah. We came in second. And that was really just emotional for all of us because like I said, that was like a 7-year or a
Mhm.
7-season winning
Right.
streak of 4x8s. And I
Yeah.
think everyone was just like getting in their own head about it, and like we kind of I won't say we dropped the ball because I think we really did all we could do. I think
Mhm.
Messiah was just that much better than us at the
Yeah. Right.
time.
Right.
Um but we managed to come back in outdoor and really put it on, and Nick wound up beating out Stevenson. He beat out Idris
What a
in like
guy.
the last what a guy. We beat out Idris uh within the last like it was photo finish when I say like
Really?
I couldn't tell where I was standing who won.
Ooh,
Wow.
those are
So
exciting.
Those are very fun
so
races.
we had to like wait and check the time, and Nick's like, I got him, and I'm like, I don't know if you did.
That seems exactly like Nick's personality. Like, no, dude, I got him. And you're like,
He's
really
like,
don't know.
I outleaned him, and I was like, you outleaned him? How can you tell? Like, how do you know?
That's perfect.
Um, but yeah, so that was nice to come back and win in the spring after having lost in the fall.
Right.
And then that was also the year, I can't remember if I think that was the last year we went to Oberlin, because you
Yeah,
guys
we
never
didn't do
went to
that.
Oberlin, Ohio.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
So for cross, I got to talk about this for a minute. For cross, we did this meet out in Ohio, which like I liked going there because it was a flat course. The first year we went, it was like my freshman year. I couldn't run it obviously, but it was cool. It was so cool that it actually started snowing
Ooh.
during the race. The ground was
Wow.
hard. You got good like people were PRing left and right. Like I think Chad
I was gonna
ran
say, is
like a
that where he ran a?
25:02 or whatever
Yeah, I
at
was
that
gonna ask if
meet.
that was that race.
Jeez.
It was insane. People were just like every single freshman PR'd minus like one or two. And it was honestly insane. So after that, everyone was like, "Oh, Oberlin, we got to do well." We went back like sophomore year. I think I PR'd, but I didn't run as nearly as well as I thought I would.
Mhm.
And neither did a lot of people. And then junior year, it was just absurdly hot. It was like a 3-year decline. So freshman year was great. Sophomore year, a little warmer, ground not as soft. They put down mulch, like loose mulch,
I hate
so it
mulch.
really wasn't
Ooh.
that good.
I hate mulch so
Yeah,
much.
That's what my entire high school course was. It
Buy
was all
dirt
that's
and
mulch.
throw down
sounds like
dirt.
Yeah.
terrible.
I hate
Um,
it.
but yeah, and then they did the same thing junior year, throwing down loose mulch, and then it was like 10 degrees hotter.
Oof.
So
Ooh.
like nobody was doing well. I'm pretty sure by the end we probably should have been all on suicide watch because we were all just like, this sucks. Like I want to go home. Like we
And you're
come
in
out like
Ohio.
yeah. So we're even in an even bigger hellhole. So just not the whole situation is bad. We all run bad. We're in a bad place mentally and physically. We're just but yeah, so I think I think coach got the message, and he was like, "Yeah, we're not doing that next year."
Yeah, hasn't brought us
So
Yeah.
back.
when you guys came in, he decided to just switch Oberlin to Ohio Pile, which I thought was a great idea because I enjoy Ohio Pile so much more than
Oh, that
like
was
a
preseason
flat
thing.
meet. Yeah.
Oh,
So you kind of transition like, hey, instead of going to this flat course mid-season where we can bust out really good times, I'm gonna stop that because it's like messing with our athletes' mental state because they're
Mhm.
like hyping up the entire season for one meet, and then
right,
even after that we had max and regionals,
right,
which you obviously should be hyping up more, but I think it
right.
got in our head of like, oh well, this is the time to run
Yeah, because you could
fast
run a
times.
faster. Yep.
Bingo,
Yeah.
right.
So he kind of like phased that out and started in with Ohio Pile again, because Ohio Pile we would do every one, like I think they would do once every 4 years. So like you would go once in your college career.
Hmm.
That was it. So
Oh,
now you get to go every year, which
I
I
love
think
that.
is a lot better.
I agree.
Yeah.
Just from like a team building aspect, because I remember I went my freshman year and I didn't really know a lot of people. Like I was still like obviously you don't know a lot of people coming in,
Right.
but you were just trying to like make friends on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So you may not have the same like standing as if you went sophomore or junior year,
Mm-hmm.
and you may not have that comfortable like that comfortability with the people
Right.
who you're there with.
Yeah.
So I know I was super happy that I got to go back as a senior, and I know like if I were you guys, I'd be super happy that you guys get to go back like all the
Yeah,
time
for
now.
sure.
Hmm.
Do you
Um,
remember our trip that we took?
oh yeah, I
Do you remember?
remember
You remember the
Jacob.
hand chair?
I remember the hand chair. I remember Jacob sticking a fork in a
We talked
toaster
about the
and
other
almost
day.
dying.
Yeah. So it was
Yeah,
like.
freaking this Clugston. Like
Yes,
Clugston's the shadiest antagonizer you will ever meet.
he is.
I think Jacob put the Pop Tart in sideways instead of straight up and down. So like
Mhm.
when the thing popped, he
He
couldn't
couldn't get it
reach his
out.
fingers in, and Nate is just like, oh, like get it with a fork. And like, all right, that's one thing to do when like the toaster is unplugged. But this thing's still plugged into the wall, and here goes Jacob just going in, and I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. Like, granted, like if we return with 80% of the people we left with, like it's a win in
That's a
my mind.
positive ratio.
Still, like me and Kyle and Noah Brady were responsible for all you people, and we didn't want to go up to coach that morning at the run like, so guess what? Like, this would not have been a conversation I wanted to have.
That's perfect. That's funny.
But yeah, I had a really good time on that trip, especially being able to drive a van. Those
I wish I would have
breaks
been
were
able
donezo.
to. Yes, they
By the
were.
time we got back to Anvil,
Yes, they were gone.
we we
We rode those
ruined
bad
that
boys.
van.
I wish you have to be 21 to rent those or to drive those, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know who's gonna do it because Damien nor I will be 21. So I guess it'll have to be Tanner.
Or Jeff.
Is
Jeff will
Tanner
be my
21?
senior
Jeff
year.
will be going. Oh, that's
My
right.
senior
Yeah.
year. I don't know
Oh,
who's gonna do it. So we'll see. But anyways, so Ohio Pile, great time.
But yeah, but so we stopped going to that Ohio meet and started going to Ohio Pile, which
Mm.
I thought was a great decision.
Right.
yeah.
And then my senior year, cross season fantastic. I PR'd with like a 27:47 at Rowan, which was like the muddiest meet.
That's where we got the
I
picture
heard about
from.
that one.
That was great. Yeah. I actually really liked that meet. I
I
was
hated
like,
it.
you were in mud up to, like mid calf,
Mm-hmm.
which was
That's tough.
insane. Yeah. The cool thing about that meet is if you win individually, you get a
Oh
sword.
yeah, I saw that.
Patrick
Like at the
does
beginning of the
have a
race, you had the
sword.
race, like the meet directors just riding around. Like the dude was standing in the back of a gator with the sword over his shoulder,
That's
just like a
sick.
madman. But Yeah, so Rowan I PR'd, which I was really happy about. I set a goal for myself of like I'm gonna try and hit 27:45.
Okay.
I didn't get it during the season just because it was like so like no, I was just saying how bad my senior year's cross season was with mud.
Right. It was muddy.
Yeah, it was just terrible. So I was really surprised that I even hit 27:47 and got so close to the goal that I had set for myself. So I was like, all right, it's like I'm fine with this. So I finished off cross pretty well. Had a great season, and then winter break came, and I stayed on campus to train, and I was working at the sports center. And literally, like the first day lifting back, something bad happens. I'm like in the gym, and I see like having friendly competition with your teammates is good, right? Everyone can agree that's good until it gets to the point where you're like, oh, I can't do what he's doing, but I'm going to try anyway.
Yeah.
So Kyle Monroe can do 110-pound goblet squats with a dumbbell and be perfectly fine. And I'm over here like I can't even grip it. Like I can't grip the dumbbell well enough to actually squat and do it, let alone handle that weight at the
Yeah.
time. So I was like, all right, well, I won't do that, but I'll do 80, which was just well over what I was doing over the winter. Um, and I only have myself to blame for this, but I was like, I think I can do this. I think it's fine. And I did it, and I was fine immediately after, and I was like, all right, well, this is good. And then like the next day, I don't know if you know what flying 30s are,
Hmm.
uh,
Mhm.
but we did those, and I was incredibly sore from like the first serious lift of the season. And I'm like, all right, like I'm not gonna let these people beat me in flying 30s, so let's go all out. And like, I mean, you're supposed to go all out in flying 30s anyway, but like I
Right.
was
Right.
like, all right, let's
You're gonna
really
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 burn
kill it. And I think I really screwed myself up with that because
up.
I got what I had thought was a hamstring like hamstring, like basically where the hamstring inserts into your like on your pelvis. That's where I thought I got it. Like the like you know what a sit bone is? Like the
Right.
when you sit down, the bones that protrude.
Yeah.
Right.
Like right on that. I was like, all right, well, I think it's hamstring. It's on the back of my leg. Like that's where I feel it. Um, maybe I need to just ease into this season and maybe like I guess I was in denial at first that anything bad happened because it would like come in waves. Like it'd be really bad and then all right, I can handle it, but still hurt, and
Mhm.
then really bad again, and then it was just spiking like that. Um, so I ran like the first two meets. I ran the indoor meet, the home meet
Mhm.
with like a iffy mile. As Noah said, I hate running the mile. I like the 1500 outdoor. I don't know why, but I absolutely hated the mile indoor. Um, so yeah, I ran an iffy mile at the home meet. I actually PR'd in the mile. I ran like a 4:38 at F&M,
Hey.
which I was very surprised about. Coach was like, all right, my PRs are three four a 4:37, so you gotta beat me. And I'm like, all right, this is it. And I'm coming down the straight, and I see it click off, and I'm like, God.
Oh.
Oh
And
no.
then I come and I was like, well, sorry, coach, I didn't beat you. And he's like, that's fine, you did great. And I was like, all right, cool. Um, but that entire race, the whole my like this injury was like just nagging and nagging and nagging.
Right.
And then we get to Susquehanna, the first of the two Susquehanna meets.
Mhm.
And I think I ran an 800 there. And what I realized looking back now is that, yes, the injury I had was present, but the 800 was still below the threshold of speed to where it didn't exacerbate the issue.
Got it.
That meet, I got put in a 4x4 because I was like, Coach, put me in. I love 4x4s. Let me run one. We have 2 teams running. Let me run a 4x4.
Was
And
this
I
your
I
senior
think,
year?
yeah.
I remember that race.
So I think I ran like a 55 or a 50, like a 54 or 55 split, which like perspective wise is not that great, but like for first 400 and probably over, and probably like to put it into perspective, my junior year at Max, I ran a 51 split for the 4x4 outdoor. So 54 comparatively, obviously, is not that great. But I'm like, all right, well, it's the first 4 of the season. I'll get back into it. And this thing's really bothering me. But I come across the line and I'm like, yo, my hammy's popping off. Like, get me to a trainer right now. Like,
That is
stretch
not
me
good.
out. And like it wound up getting to the point where I was like, Coach, I can't do this. Like this is to the point where I'm like I know usually if runners have an injury, it's like, all right, well, we're gonna just throttle back on training and baby it a little bit, like a little bit, do a lot of cross train.
Yep.
And in that vein, I was like doing aqua jogging every single day. I'm like, I'm not losing my fitness. This is my senior year. I'm not gonna lose it. But whatever we were doing in I was going to the trainers every day, getting the grass in, like working out the fascia on my hamstring, to the point where it got to the point where like I was going to the doctor clinic and I was like, I don't know what's happening. Everything that we're doing to treat this hamstring injury is not helping it. And wound up getting like an x-ray, an MRI, still doing aqua jogging. I started joining you guys on your runs just on the bike,
Yep.
to just have some like interaction with people
Yep.
during my exercise. So that was nice that I was able to do that. But like it was just getting annoying because this was like months long. This happened, like the initial injury happened in like mid-January. And then here March rolls around and I still don't know what the hell's going on. And then spring season starts and I still don't know what's going on, and I'm going to PT and all this stuff. And like I would say, like, I know you guys lost your spring season and half of your winter season due to COVID. And I think I told you this on our long run last week, Griffin. If I say I know where you're coming from,
Right.
it's not me trying to be a jerk. It's me saying like I also lost my pretty much all of my winter season and all of my spring season my senior year due to this injury.
Right.
And I guess in your case, while literally everyone is in the same boat, you could take a little solace with that.
Right.
Me, I'm stuck here not knowing what's wrong with my body, watching all my friends PR and do all this stuff, and I'm sitting here all mopey and like
Right.
I would say that was probably like the lowest part of my life was
I'm sure it's
spring my senior year.
Yeah,
it's
that has to be
unbelievably
tough.
hard.
Yeah.
But like I guess the only good news was like literally the last PT appointment I had, we figured out what it was. And I was like, oh, that's a good consolation prize. But so I started treating for the correct injury, and it wound up working its way out in like 2 weeks. And I was like, oh boy, if only I had known that in freaking February, man.
I didn't know that.
Oh, it was so bad. I was so angry. So then like I was able, like I went on a trip to Europe with like Baxter and Nick and Shelly, like immediately after graduation. And I was able to go on runs with them there perfectly fine. Like, yeah, it was still nagging a little bit, but it was not nearly as bad as what it was when it first started. And I was like, this is like, I was in such a low place because I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I couldn't run. I couldn't do anything. And then I finally figured it out. and it fixes itself in almost miraculously in like 2 weeks.
Yep.
And then I find myself getting even more angry because of that. And I was like, what, you know what, man, screw this. What the hell? It was just like, we're just going to like take your spring season and put it over here. You're not allowed to do that. You're going to take your winter season. Sorry about that, mate. Like, I was just enraged by the end of that year.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, this is such an easy fix. But
What did it end up being?
so this is something not a lot of guys get, but it was a combo of I squatted way too heavy and way too low. And if you know how you squat, your pelvis like separates a little bit when you get down low in the squat form. So what I'm assuming happened is during that series of squats and that heavy lifting, I strained one of the muscles in my pelvic floor. And then doing the flying 30s really just exacerbated it and really killed it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure it really like did some damage, and all the work that I was doing trying to recover really helped, and that's why it probably recovered so quickly once I started working on the right thing.
Yep.
I would assume that if I realized what was wrong and started working on the right thing when I was like immediately after, it would have taken a lot longer, but that was what the issue was.
Right.
So like it usually happens in presents in women a lot more, but I think I had just like the perfect storm of things that occurred for it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of pissed me off because nobody was looking for that, because they're like, oh yeah, guys don't get that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's got to be hamstring. And but yeah, so that's what it wound up being, and we wound up like fixing it, and I was doing the exercises to fix it and stuff like that, and it fixed itself. And I guess it was almost a blessing in disguise, because it allowed me, like, I am not actually retract that statement. I'm not going to call that a blessing in any sense of the word, but it did give me free time to, like, during this time I was like applying to grad schools and trying to like focus a lot on that, and it was just hard balancing that and schoolwork. So almost not having the time constraint of practice helped me out in the sense of like, okay, now I have time to like apply to grad school and like and pursue that and stuff like that.
So there was somewhat of a positive side.
Yeah, there was just somewhat of a silver lining, but like when I say thin, that lining was like.
So my question is,
you could see through it. It was like the one-ply toilet paper in the bathroom in Munn. It's like it's there, but it's basically non-existent.
Yeah.
So senior year, chemistry major, you're taking a lot of hard classes, doing stuff that I can't even think about too much or it'll make my head explode. So like very, very intelligent stuff. And like you said, applying to grad school. So very high level stuff that you're working with here. How did the stress of going through that injury, managing that injury, when you realized you might not have a senior outdoor season, how did that stress impact not only you, but also like school?
So school, it didn't really affect me that much. I never really had like, so obviously school's difficult, and I would just like senior year hard classes, like you said. But I always had this ability to basically remove myself from what was going on in my personal life and just focus on the information. It was a good distraction almost for me. So I could focus on the schoolwork and get that done fine.
So you were really good at compartmentalizing your brain and being like, this time I'm on schoolwork, this time
I wouldn't say I am good at it, but I was able to do it for the time being.
Okay.
But like socially and personally, I was a mess. I was an absolute wreck. On the weekends, like to try and like just numb my, like I I would drink like a fish on Saturday, or whenever you guys got back from your meet. I'm like, all right, pop the bottles, we're going in. So I would just drink and drink and drink on Saturday until the point where I was like, all right, I'm really irritated now. Like I'm worked up. I've been drinking. I'm worked up. And then I would go and smoke weed to calm down. And it was that habitual thing. And you laugh, but like it was that every single weekend. And it
Right.
was just me pissed off during the week. I would come back to my room after studying or whatever, have like a granted this it's not that bad of a habit, but like I'd have a beer to calm down, go to bed, repeat throughout the week when you guys would come back on Saturday from your meet or whatever.
Right.
If I was there, most of the time I think I went to the meets.
Yeah, you did. You were good about that.
Yeah, because I was cross country and track captain.
Mhm.
So even during the injury, I still wanted to be there. So I was like, all right, well, if there's room on the bus, I'll come. If there's not room on the bus, I'll drive. It's fine. So I'm pretty sure when we would come back from the meets, I'm like, all right, it's time to, like, what have you guys been doing for the past 5 minutes? I've been drinking. Like, it's time to start, man.
Unpacking?
Let's go.
No, let's go.
No, crack the shower beer, get in the shower, unpack, take care of your shit tomorrow. Like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know. Are we allowed to?
No,
Are
that's
you allowed
fine.
to curse on this?
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay. I tried to. You guys haven't been doing it at all on your podcast, so I tried to not do that. But
I'm proud of you.
one
Look
slip
at you
through.
go.
All right. Yeah, it's hard for me. But yeah. So I just like coped with it super bad, super poorly.
Mhm.
And that's what I was doing. And like I said, like that was like probably the lowest point in my life. Like I was able to focus on schoolwork fine
Mhm.
and just get through it. There was like one or two classes, like I was pass failing a lot of my classes my spring semester.
Mhm.
So at a certain point I was just like, yeah, screw it, I don't really care anymore.
Mhm.
So with those classes, like first semester I took a lot of my hard classes, and then second semester I took classes where it was like, yeah, they're hard but they're doable.
Right.
um and and the ones that like were super hard I was pass failing. So I got to a certain point where I was like, all right, what do I need to pass this class? I need a 2 on the final to get a P. I'm not
Big.
studying, screw it.
Right.
Like, and then I would just go off and do my own thing and hang out with you guys on the weekend and do whatever. But yeah, that became like a habitual thing every weekend, which like don't let anyone tell you that that's a good way to cope with things, because it's not. Like it winds up like it really just eats away at you until you're like, all right, well, I don't know what to do anymore. Like,
Right.
because like all the joy that I found with running, I'm trying to seek elsewhere through like doing
Yeah.
whatever. It's just not it.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so not being able to run senior year, like, or half of my senior year, took an impact. So I don't know if this is why I still run now. I don't know if I had my senior year, if I would be like, all right, well, I'm going to throttle back a lot. But like, I still try and run like 40 miles a week.
I was gonna say you ran
Uh,
13 with me.
yeah, exactly. Like I still have the capability to bust out a 13-mile long run if Noah asked me to join. um, but yeah, I still like, I think I'm still seeking the race gratification that
Right. You're looking for that closure.
that evaded me my
Yeah.
senior year, which is difficult for me too, because now I don't have all the resources I had at LVC when it comes to trainers and stuff like that.
Yep.
So you got to be super on top of like recovery and all this stuff that I would never think of, that was just told to me and it was
Right.
incorporated into the program. Now I have to actively think about and do myself.
Yeah.
Right.
But you got to do that when you have like the body of a 1997 Honda Civic. Like it's bad. Like you could push it, but something's gonna break.
I like
That's
that
funny.
analogy.
That's funny.
Like if Mo Farah is a McLaren, that's
Yeah.
what I am.
Yeah. You're a
I'm
nice little Honda
just
Civic. You still run just fine.
I'm a 1997 Honda Civic who's one bad thing away from failing inspection.
We just gotta treat you with a little extra care. That's all.
Yeah.
Just don't push the gas a little that hard.
We just gotta give
Ease
you
up.
some love.
You work your way into it.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't go 0 to 60. You gotta 0 to 10 and 10 to 20. And you just gotta pull off the line.
Yeah. Yeah. So
But
yeah, I still try and enter races now.
So you do like road races?
Yeah, I did a 8K. I don't know if it was an 8K or it was a full 5 miles. It's like at that point it's such a small distance, but still it counts. I did one of those right before Christmas this past year and wound up hitting like I squeaked under 29, but when I like a 50, like a 28:58, I think.
Okay.
But this was also like a super flat course. So yeah, I'm still doing that, and I actually entered and got into the Broad Street 10 miler, which is
Ooh.
like in Philly, which is really cool.
Mhm.
And that was going to happen in April, but now once again,
Yep.
I don't want to say I'm in as bad a boat as you guys because you guys are collegiately training, and obviously you want to maximize that. But
Right.
once again, I'm like, oh hell yeah, I'm lining up all these races
Right.
for 2020. It's gonna be we're gonna peak. Like
Mhm.
I'm gonna train. I'm gonna do all these races. I'm gonna come back for the home meet. I'm gonna peak. I'm gonna beat Griffin. It's gonna be a great
Yeah, that's
day.
what you
And then
think,
we're just
baby. If you want to beat me,
no,
you have
but
to be first.
yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do that. Not when you're hitting 100-mile weeks. Um, but yeah, I once again I'm like, oh, I'm lining up all these races, and then they're like, psych, nope,
Right. They
they're
just take
taking
them
them
away.
out.
Yep.
But yeah, I started doing biking recently. I haven't
That
done
is
that in
something
a
I've
minute
seen on your
though.
Strava you've been getting into.
I haven't biked in like 2 weeks though, which kind of sucks. But
How
yeah, I
how
bought like a
far do you
decent
go on a
road bike.
bike? Because I know friends
So
that were talking about like they went on like a 30-mile bike ride,
yeah,
and I
so
was
it
like, oh my.
depends. 30 miles on the bike is not nearly as bad as what you are thinking.
Oh.
Like if you have biking shorts and it's relative, like because you can have active recovery going down hills. Like you with running, the thing is you obviously you have to constantly be moving.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
You have to constantly be putting forth effort, whether you're going uphill, downhill, or flat. Like granted, it could be easier if you're going downhill, but you still have to like put forth effort so you don't just like barrel down the hill and eat it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you need to control yourself. On a bike, you can just post up in a certain position going downhill, hold it, not put forth any effort, but still be going 40 miles an hour down a hill.
Yeah, and you
Like,
can catch your breath and everything.
yeah, exactly. It's like a give and take. The going up the hills might be a little bit more intense than if you were running, but like in my mind, distances is like longer distances over the bike is like a 30-mile bike ride would be comparable to like a 10-mile run in my
Okay.
mind,
Okay.
from my experience. Having said that, I've done like 250-milers and a 60-miler. I want to start getting up into more distance, but it just takes long, man.
I was gonna say
Because the
that's a time
equivalent,
commitment.
yeah, exactly. Because if it's like like if you want to do the same, if you want to burn this, we'll go by burning calories because that's an easy way to quantify things. But if you
Mhm.
want to burn the same amount of calories on the bike that you do running, you have to be out there for almost twice as long. Like, so it's just time consuming when you're like, all right, well, I could just go and run 5 miles and be done in like 35, 40 minutes.
Bingo.
Mm-hmm.
Or I could go on a bike, try and burn the same amount of calories and be back in an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And I also got to bring water when I go on a bike.
Mhm.
I gotta wear the right clothes. I gotta plan out the route because if you
Right,
make
you
a
can't
wrong
make that
turn, you
up.
could get lost
Yeah.
because the loops are so much larger when you're
Mhm.
on a bike because you need to fit in more distance. So you're like,
Mhm.
oh, it's easier to get lost. It's easier to make a wrong turn as opposed to running,
Mm-hmm.
and just a lot more goes into it.
There's more preparation.
Yeah. And that's not to say I don't like it. I really like it and I really enjoy doing it. It's just like I said, it's a lot of There's a
Right.
lot more preparation into what you're doing as opposed to let me just throw on a pair of shoes and go out for a run, go out for a quick out and back.
Yeah.
That's where I thrive, baby. That is where I
Your
thrive.
daily out and
out,
back.
out and back 422.
Bingo. I have an
Favorite
outfit.
loop.
It is 6 miles out, 6 miles back. That's all I do.
Sounds terrible.
It is
That's
beautiful.
horrible.
Throw on a pair of shoes, you go 6 miles, you come 6 back. Done deal. That's it.
If you ever come to Jersey while I'm still here, I got a 6 mile out and back for you
Done deal.
that I've done.
Done deal. Let's go. You text me a day, I'll be there.
All right.
Might not be
Yeah, so that
100
was
miles, but
basically, yeah, not a 100-mile week. You should be done with that.
I am
Is
after
this
this
your
week.
last week at it?
After this
How,
week, we
how
drop.
are you on pace?
I am exponentially more tired this week than I was last week. And,
Yeah, I bet.
Coach said, he was like, listen, it's not like 100 isn't a magic number. It's the effort and the mental effort that you take to do it that really counts. So he's like 90 plus is still a lot. So I'm on pace for like 97 right now. And that's okay with me.
Oh,
But the 100 looks
I was
nice.
gonna say.
The 100 looks nice, but my legs, there have been times where I'm like, all right, my legs need like to spare me a mile here. Like I'm gonna cut this a mile short.
Yeah.
My legs are begging me to just stop. And especially with my brother's graduation party is today. Today's what, Saturday? So for those listening later on, today's Saturday. And I've been on my feet all yesterday, all today, just setting up, moving around, being active. Like we played football last night. We played Frisbee. So it's like they're getting other things other than running in.
Yeah.
So it's not as much recovery as I would, deem ideal, but you can't control it. So,
Yeah.
but it is. what
And
it
on
is.
top of work as well, standing all
Yeah.
day.
Yep. Next week's going to be bliss. I took off all week because it's finals week for my summer class. So I gave
Okay.
myself 7 days off, and I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to run 70 miles, which is going to feel like baby food. And I'm just going to lay in bed all day.
Just binge Netflix.
That is what Avatar is getting finished. I'm going to do all my
Avatar is probably my favorite show of all time right now.
before Wednesday. I'm going to get all my work done, and just Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, just relax.
I was gonna say, what day is your final on?
So I don't know if we have an exam or not. I really haven't put any effort
That's
into
something
this
that you
class.
should probably figure
I
out.
don't
You should
know
be
if we have
aware.
an
If-
exam.
You should be aware if you have an exam during finals week, especially when it's like in 2 days.
She hasn't like put anything on Canvas is the thing. So it's like I have one essay for myself, a group essay, a group PowerPoint. That's all due like Friday. But then there's no exam. So I'm like,
So it's probably just the projects.
yeah, I'm assuming after 3 projects, I'd hope.
I mean,
to
I
God we're
feel
done.
like she would have to
What-
let you know
what-
by now if
what
you have
class
an
is this
exam.
for?
Right. Intro to marketing, business 344.
Okay.
It is hands down. Don't ever take a summer class. It was awful. I hate
I
the
never have.
experience.
I never got to take
don't-
another class for the
I don't
rest of my
want to.
life.
Oh,
I ain't
Dworzak's all
doing that.
done.
I ain't doing
Oh
that.
my gosh. Old ass.
Yeah, for chemistry. Yeah, exactly. No, in grad school you only have to take classes, or at least for chemistry, you only have to take classes your first year.
Wow.
So I passed all them.
Now
And
you're just teaching.
no, I
You're
don't even
not
have to
teaching
teach
anymore.
No, dude, I taught for 1 semester. My
Oh.
my advisor has funding. So, like,
Oh.
For those of you who don't know, the way chemistry grad school works is you come in, you take classes for your first year, and you TA to get paid. You get paid when you're in grad school for chemistry because you're TAing.
Mhm.
A lot of people see grad school and they're like, oh, like, how much money is that costing you? Well, it's in the positives because they're giving me money.
Right.
So, like, usually your salary comes from TAing, but you get to a certain point where you either you can apply for external grants and either get paid through an external, like there's 2 people in my group who are getting paid from NASA because they applied for the Delaware Space Grant and got it.
Jeez.
So you could either do that, or if your advisor has enough funding, he can just pay your salary and you don't have to teach. So like
Hey,
we
all
got a
right.
really decent sized grant from the Department of Energy, our group, when like the first semester I was there.
Mhm.
So I finished out the first semester of teaching, and then I didn't have to do it second semester, and I don't have to do it anymore, unless things change in the future and he loses all this money, and I don't get an external grant. I shouldn't have to teach
Back to
again.
teaching you go. That'd be
Yeah,
very funny.
no, it would not be very funny.
I would
It
find it
would be
hilarious.
hurtful. Oh,
That's
but
good.
yeah, so I'm done with classes, done with teaching. All I got to do is research and write.
Wow,
So,
look at you go.
Sweet.
Smarty pants.
yeah, right.
Big brain.
All right, well, that's the time we got today. So I just want to say thanks to Dworzak for coming on here, sharing his story for the kind of our first alumni series episode. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I thought this went
Yeah.
really well. And Dworzak's always been somebody who's been great at giving feedback about our episodes. So I was like, hey, come on here and do this with us.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can
That's the
convince some other
debut.
people. Bingo. Hopefully you can convince some other people to come on. But I had a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Mike
Yeah,
Dworzak.
this was good. I know for a
Yeah,
fact. I know at least one person who wants to come on this show.
no Baxter.
And then I'm gonna try and there he is. And then I'm also gonna try and convince. I think I'm actually running with one of the people I'm gonna try and convince to come on.
Beautiful. Do it.
Andy Geltz.
Yes, I actually do really
I'm
want to
like
talk to him.
I'm gonna try and meet with him in like 30, 45 minutes and go for a run with him.
Okay, sweet.
Sweet.
So
Yeah, I'd
when I
love to
see
talk to
him,
him.
I'll
Shamelessly plug.
shoot him your way. Give you a plug.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So yeah, if you guys have any other suggestions on who else we should bring on, if you know any alumni from our school, by all means reach out. If you are an alumni listening and you'd like to be on, by all means reach out. We'll see what we can do. And until then, have a great week and we'll see you all here next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.